What kickback did a deputy minister request for prompting the purchase of mobile boiler rooms? How much did Odesa region officials ask for to facilitate a land issue? Who got 9 years in jail and why NABU is so pleased about the verdict? Hello, I am Svetlana Olifira, NABU's spokesperson. You are watching our January News Digest. Here we go. In January, NABU and SAPO exposed a scheme that resulted in 41 million hryvnia losses for Spectechnoexport public enterprise. In 2015, the money was transferred to a foreign company as if for agent services that were never provided. Later on, the whole amount was laundered. The scheme was organized by the head of the enterprise. He and 3 of his subordinates became suspects. A deputy minister saw the war as a chance to get his piece of the money cake. Instead of becoming a whistleblower, he accepted an offer to organize the purchase of mobile boiler rooms at inflated prices and asked for a 10% kickback of the allocated 1.4 billion hryvnias. NABU and SAPO ruined the plan and served suspicion notice on 5 persons involved in the crime. Another attempt to make extra money during the war was stopped in the Odesa region. 2 officials solicited $100,000 to facilitate the leasing of a land plot for storage facilities. They were caught red-handed, receiving the first tranche of $50,000. Both got suspicion notices. The investigation is ongoing. One of the largest and most complex investigations in NABU and SAPO's practice has ended. In January, detectives completed the second episode of the so-called Rotterdam Plus case. It concerns 20 billion hryvnia losses to electricity consumers. The first episode, involving 19 billion hryvnia losses, was completed last fall. The case was repeatedly on the brink of closure, but the new SAPO head saved the day. After the defense reviews the case file, it will go to court. The High Anti-Corruption Court will try the ex-MP who offered a record bribe of 22 million euros to the mayor of Dnipro. In exchange, he asked to facilitate the signing of a contract for the construction of the Dnipro subway with the companies under his control and beyond tender. But it did not work. By the way, he is accused for the second time. The first indictment was brought against him in the case of embezzlement of National Guard funds. Almost $120,000 was offered to the head of the State Inspectorate for Architecture and Urban Planning to issue a certificate of commissioning of a high-rise building erected with violations. He turned to NABU, and the developer's representative was exposed red-handed, giving the entire sum of the bribe. By the way, it happened in the parking lot near the NABU office. In January, the case was sent to the High Anti-Corruption Court. 6 people ended up on the dock because of the scheme, which caused losses to the state worth almost 197 million hryvnias. In 2017, Arkona Gas Energy Company, beyond auction, got the right to use a gas condensate field in the Poltava region for only 3.8 million hryvnias. While the initial cost of the special permit made at least 200 million hryvnias. The court will dot the I's and cross the T's. The High Anti-Corruption Court Appeals Chamber upheld the sentence by which the ex-director of Radon Public Enterprise was jailed for 5 years with confiscation of property. He was found guilty of bribing an official to approve his quarterly and annual bonuses beyond the limits. The ex-deputy head of a prosecutor general's office department was jailed for 9 years with confiscation of property. He was found guilty of misappropriating and selling property that was seized during searches of underground casinos in Kiev. This official is also involved in the brazen kidnapping of NABU detectives who were recording his illegal activities. Now, justice is done. The head of the Kharkiv District Administrative Court was jailed for 5 years. She offered $3,000 to her subordinate for making a decision in favor of her commercial company. The judge turned to NABU and the briber was exposed red-handed. This is how whistleblowing works. In January, thanks to NABU and SAPO, the Ukrainian military received $785,000 and 650,000 hryvnias. The money was seized from a former MP, ex-head of the Verkhovna Rada Committee on Fuel and Energy Complex, suspected of receiving undue advantage from a Czech company with Russian background. At the motion of SAPO and NABU, the court lifted the seizure of the funds and sent them for army needs. This was the January top news from NABU. Check our website for more exposures, investigations and cases in court, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos. Stand with Ukraine!